do you ever go like onto different forums or different like Facebook groups or social media groups to like look at things about education? You know what? You really only have to read different things, to really get such a wide array of thoughts, opinions, and emotional outbursts. Okay. I sometimes feel like that meme, the person sitting there like with the popcorn saying, I'm only here for the comments. I often am. Like, to me, it's actually very, very interesting to see people's like thoughts and opinions and like really how they get like so set up like for a lot of things. And one in particular, and this is for certain, that unschooling is controversial. Okay. I have been an unschooler, well, still sort of am like in some aspects. And, it's controversial. And it's like a little bit of fun, like to look at where like some of these ideas are coming from. And, maybe it's because we don't really actually fully understand it or why we even have the school systems now that we do. And so, we can get on there and we can like allow it to get us like angry or maybe to get us stirred up. Like there are so many good things. Like there is some great information out there. But guess what? There's also misinformation out there. And because of that, there is this controversy. Hi, and welcome to Learning Life. And thank you so much for joining me today as, yes, I'll look at something a little controversial, which honestly, I don't think it needs to be. It really doesn't. I don't know. Have you noticed that if you study history at all, things that were controversial in the past might be considered normal now? Okay. So many of what we take for like, this is just how we do it and what we do, once upon a time was controversial and it was dividing communities and all of that. So, when I look at this controversy that's going on now, I'm like, people don't understand it. They really don't understand it. And we should be. We should be learning to understand. We should be, trying to find ways to hear people's hearts so that maybe we could learn something new, maybe change our thoughts and ideas. To me, this is what is so important and, what I really love about it. And this is like why I bring videos like this to you, because I want us to learn together. I want us to see that if we can get like that understanding, things are actually a whole lot better for us. Now, we don't all have to agree. No, we don't. I don't want us all to agree, but I do want us to learn. So I do thank you for your likes and for your subscribes and for sharing it with your friends and for your comments. Now, have you heard of this term, school fixated society? Yeah, I've seen it a few places and it's really actually got me thinking, especially in light of like unschooling and a school fixated society. There's someone that I follow on Instagram, Lucy Aitkenreid, and I hope I pronounced that right. And I really like how she's like explained what this is. It says this means we've shaped childhood to revolve around school. It means everything we think we know about learning and development comes from studying kids in school. It means we ourselves have actually inherited a whole bunch of narratives and understandings about learning. And it means that most adults have come to see school as an essential and immovable part of childhood. It means that there is a ton of systems set up to make school a seamless step in a seamless system. It means school and learning have become synonymous. I really like that. And as we look at that and as we maybe understand, maybe we really are like fixated on school, we can see why more and more families are actually turning to unschooling. Okay, we did it ourselves fully for a few years, though now we've moved, as the girls are old, into a bit more of an eclectic style of homeschooling with a lot of unschooling undertones. So it's sort of like unschooling light, I call it. More and more families have turned to it, but there is still this great misunderstanding of what it is. And it doesn't have to be, if we can really like learn about it and just see, and again, keep in mind, something that was controversial is now not because it's become like the norm. we can look at these things and gain better understanding. The unschooling controversy. So yes, there are several reasons it is controversial. And, I want to have a look at some of these ideas and opinions. Remember, unschooling is an educational approach, okay? And I haven't seen any unschoolers out there saying, if you're not doing it, you're wrong. They are doing what works for them and what is right for them. And that's what I love about education. We have so many things that we can do that work for us, whether it's at school, how we homeschool, like in all the myriad ways, and then like unschooling. But let's have a look at some of these reasons. Lack of structure. Apparently, lack of structure is really bad for our children, that if they're not at their desk between certain hours, they're not going to learn. Okay, unschooling isn't going to be doing that. There is no structure. Children learn when they want to from hands-on experiences, life experiences, about all of that. But for some people, this lack of structure is really hard to take a hold of. Concerns about academic standards. Well, who sets the standards? And have you noticed how they change over the years? Like, I've certainly noticed since being in school and with my teaching degrees and all of that, how much it has changed and how we're putting like these higher standards on younger kids. So, if we get this whole, but these kids aren't meeting standards. But what if they really can read fluently and they know how to find information for themselves and to synthesize that information and put it into their own words and use critical thinking skills and all of this? Why are we worried about academic standards and that they can do a certain level of math at a certain amount of at a certain time? And then there's socialization. Always. We can't talk about anything with education without bringing up socialization, can we? Check out my video on the socialization controversy because it's another one of those things that doesn't have to be. You know what? School isn't the only place to get socialization. And if we think about it, if you are homeschooling or especially unschooling, your children have this opportunity to meet a wide array of people from a wide array of backgrounds, from a wide array of ages. And this is truly how socialization happens, and particularly it starts with your family. Oh, but what about parental qualifications? They're not qualified to be teaching them. Yes, they are. When you become a parent, you are actually qualified. Look, yes, I have teaching degrees, but so many of my friends, actually most of my friends who are homeschooling don't have teaching qualifications. We don't need to have them at home, and especially we don't need them for unschooling. Okay, you know what? There is a lot that we can be learning together, and having a degree does not equate a good education for our children. It just really doesn't. Oh, but what about the potential for educational neglect? You know what? I get this. Okay, this one, yes, there could be a potential. But that also comes from a misunderstanding that unschooling isn't just a free-for-all, whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do. And if you don't want to do anything, well, then that's great. Okay? There is a potential for educational neglect anywhere, in schools, any sort of form of homeschooling. You know what? I've seen kids who have made it to high school without being able to read in a school system. Okay, so yes, I get it. Is there a potential? There's always a potential for educational neglect. But most parents, actually I would say all parents who are choosing to unschool aren't doing it because they think, I don't have to do anything. No, in fact, it's the opposite. You are going, oh, my child wants to learn about this. I want to make sure that they have quality materials that they can be learning from, that I am making sure that they've got enough to really go deeper, that I'm spending the time with them, that we can be discussing it. Okay, there's actually less potential for educational neglect. And then there's those misconceptions and stereotypes. As with all things, misconceptions and stereotypes tend to rule the controversy. Okay, so many of the misconceptions are wrong. So many of these stereotypes, oh, homeschoolers are weird, or unschoolers, they're just like hippies and they just like do. Can we actually go and learn about what it is and to actually see that these misconceptions and stereotypes do not need to have any place in these discussions? And then the last one, like lack of diversity. Okay. Oh, but if they're just at home, they're not going to have like this diversity with culture and race. And guess what? not all schools have diversity either. Okay? They really don't. But when you have unschooling, you actually have quite a lot of opportunities to be getting out there and meeting other people. Diversity shouldn't be an issue. Most unschoolers aren't just staying within their little family unit. They are getting out there in the community. So diversity happens. And remember that not all diversity happens at school either. Benefits of unschooling. If we are looking at these controversial ideas and how we can go, well, if we just knock all of those out, we do see the benefits of it, that self-directed learning and, that our children are just learning what they're interested in. And I don't know about you, but I know the things that I'm interested in, I remember. I don't remember everything I learned at school because half of it was boring and I didn't want to remember it. Okay, we have individualized educations. One child wants to learn about ancient Egypt and the other one wants to learn about sharks. Guess what? They're learning what they're interested in, but they are still developing the skills that they need to truly be learning. We get this exploration of interests and passions, this development of critical thinking skills, and hopefully from this lifelong love of learning. So when we actually look at the benefits of unschooling, which is why I want to touch on them, it really sort of knocks all of the controversy out of there. Okay, we need to remember that each child's needs and circumstances really are unique. And what works well for one child may not work the same for another. Okay, you might actually have one child in a family that does great with unschooling and one who actually needs more structure. This can happen because unschooling will work for some children and not for others. We all have different personality types. We all have different ways of we like to do it. So this is why homeschooling can be great. But unschooling is also just a beautiful, beautiful thing that can really meet the needs of our children and their education. So really the controversy surrounding unschooling stems from differing opinions on education. And that's okay. We can have differing opinions on education. I know that I do compared to some friends, and some of that comes from being a teacher and some of that comes from wanting to slough off a lot of what I've learned and how to do it and what I am still learning. It comes from differing opinions on child development and, even what I studied in university and I see now, this push of children younger to be doing things. You know what? I know I have my opinions and nobody has to agree with them. I personally feel that we should be waiting for children, being more 5, turning 6 before we start anything academic. And that's okay. That's my opinion. And it's come from research, but I don't expect everybody to believe with me. And then there's those differing opinions on the role of parents in a child's education. Okay? There are those that believe that the parents really have the height of the best role, the biggest role. It should be the number one thing. With parents, even if you put a child into school, you should be actively involved in their education. But you have some people go, well, I put my kids into school so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, you really should. Okay, you should be involved. And really, you only have to go online to see all of these differing opinions and thoughts and ideas, And my cousin's best friend's dog walker's shampooer has said this, and so therefore they're right, okay? We seem to see that. But if we're not sure of something, we should be taking time to research it from both sides and learning for understanding. Okay, there's no point in saying, I think this. Oh, look, this information supports me. And that's it. I'm right. They're wrong. Okay, let's take the time to research it from both sides. We don't always have to agree with everyone, but learning is key to stopping misinformation and to perhaps stopping a controversy, like about unschooling, that doesn't need to be there. Well, thank you so much for watching today and for being part of this learning life. How do you feel about unschooling? Is it controversial to you? Or maybe are you just still wanting to learn more about it because it's really piquing your interest? Either way, there are some great things that we could be learning about unschooling. I also just want to say that we have the giveaway ending tomorrow night. So if you didn't get the chance to see last week's video, check it out, find out what you need to do in order to enter the giveaway, and we will announce the winner next week. Well, thank you so much for watching and being part of this learning life. And if you want help to get some of these videos out there, you can do that. You can join us as a champion. So check that out at patreon.com or at my website, LearningThis.Life.